And it says we are live. Hopefully that is
I can't do it as cute as you.
It's so funny when it comes to our book club picks, because I end up purchasing the book as a paperback copy, as an audiobook if it's available, and I also get the ebook because I want to be able to highlight and like send myself passages. So whenever we have an author that we've selected, like I give them a lot of business.
Yes. I usually go for the Kindle one just so I can have the opportunity to do like a digital highlight, but there's nothing like holding a real book in your hands.
Well, I think at some point, I don't know, I have most of them over there. I'm pretty sure I have all of the paperback copies from the beginning of the Kozmic Mystery Book Club. Sometime I'm going to have to do one of those posts of like, and this is where we started, and this is where we're at.
You should. You totally should.
Because right now it's a vertical, just going upward. It just goes that way for the bookcase. I got it on Amazon. Like right now, like that's all Kozmic Mystery Book Club stuff. So I'm happy.
Oh man.
And I'm happy to be here. You guys, I love how we're chatting and we haven't introduced ourselves. Just so excited to be here. Oh my goodness. Books Can Be Deceiving, Book Club of the Month. Welcome to the Kozmic Mystery Book Club. I'm Angela, and I am so excited to introduce you to my guest, 𝗕𝗏𝗶𝗿 𝗖𝗍𝗏𝗏s podcast, creator, hostess, genius of. She is awesome. She has been on this. She has been on the YouTube channel before. She's done, I want to say, at least 3 other live streams with us, and you guys love her. I love her too.
I meant to check. This is either 3 or 4. But it's been a while. Like last time we did this, I was doing it out of a hotel room in like Iowa or Nebraska on my way to move to Minnesota. And here I am a month after having left Minnesota and moved to Oregon.
I remember that live stream because the friend that you were traveling with was adorable. She literally got down on the floor. She didn't show up in the background. And now she's got this new background that's adorable. I can see the donut in the background. Like that's perfect for cozies.
Yeah, look, we've got all sorts of books and pictures, and I don't know, my creepy statue that's from a restaurant called Hamburger Mary's. But yeah, and then donuts, obviously, because that's basically my aesthetic.
I tried to really go for it today to make sure that I had the books for our TBR. So we have next month's Class Reunions of Murder. We have I love how I'm like, that is September for October. Then we have One Poison Pie. Then we have Death of a Kitchen Diva and 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗏 for our December buddy read. Plus, I don't have a statue, but I have Jessica Fletcher Funko Pop.
Oh my God, what? That's a thing?
Yes, I have my Jessica Fletcher. So I don't know what happened the first time. So she lost a leg with the first Funko Pop. So I had to go buy a second one. So now I have a legless Jessica Fletcher. So it's just from that waistcoat, just the raincoat up. And so this time I left her in the box because I didn't want anything to happen to her.
That's really funny though. I used to have these little statuettes from the show Psych. I had Sean and Gus, and they're like bumping fists and everything. And when I moved, one of I think it was Sean's like hands like fell off, and I think Gus lost like a piece of his bottom. So it was they had problems, but yeah, it was pretty great. Hi everybody.
I love how you're saying Psych, and I'm like, yeah, I love that show so much. I've seen every episode like
love Psych.
I should admit how many times I've seen that show.
Talk about like one of the best like mystery shows, but also like one of the best shows with like friendship. Like, oh, so good.
I feel like I think that's something with Cozy Mysteries. Like you need to have your Watson, or you need to have your Crafternoon people. Like you need the friendship.
I loved that.
The community. Like because even with Psych, it's not just him and Gus. It's him, the father. You have Juliet Lasseter. Like you have the little gang. Like you need the Cozy Mystery community, the little gang, the Scooby Gang.
That's what I think of when I think of Cozy Mystery. I mean, to me, that's like what differentiates it from like a different mystery is just sort of like, it's not just the one person solving crime, it's their community. And it's, you know, the nosy old lady and the, you know, a local baker, or, you know, in this case, the smoldering sea captain, who I'm just like, oh yes, okay.
Yeah, so our leading man Sully at some point, like that's gonna be a whole conversation topic unto itself. Like Sully, oh my gosh, official book boyfriend material. He's on the list. If there was a list, he's on the list.
And if you want like the steamier version of this book that has a sea captain. Tessa Bailey's new release, It Happened One Summer.
Oh, yeah, based off of Schitt's Creek. Yeah, the Alexis storyline.
And it takes place in a small coastal town just like this one. And so basically, if you were like reading this and you're like, you know what, this is missing hot, steamy kisses, then you can go read It Happened One Summer. I think that's what it is, right? It Happened One Summer.
I know it happened. I know the start of it is It Happened.
And yeah, and there you go. There's your steamier version with another sea captain, but it just happens to be more romantic.
I'm just pulling up the comments with you guys are so sweet. I'm so happy to see everybody. Oh, I love this. You guys are the best. And I love how everyone knows the exact same references in regards to Psych and Jessica Fletcher. Oh, we really are. Everyone's on the same wavelength. This is our group for a reason.
I love this group. This group is so great.
Oh my gosh. You guys are I'm so happy you're joining for the first time. Oh my gosh, Sweden, that is so cool. Welcome. Oh my gosh, I just got, just give me all the warm, fuzzy feelings. I think I just got like a little rush of, oh my gosh, that is so cool. Welcome. I've heard a couple people on Instagram saying this was their first time. So I am so excited if it is. Welcome to the Cozy Mystery Book Club. You are a sleuther with us. I also, again, if you this is a random little reference, but if you posted a photo of Books Can Be Deceiving, let me know and I will send you a Cozy Mystery Book Club bookmark as a thank you for participating and sharing your photo.
And Angela has the best swag for Cozy Mystery Book Club. Like, I just want to put that out there. Like, I know I'm drinking iced coffee tonight, but usually I have my Cozy Mystery Santa mug that I just love, and I have stickers. Like, oh gosh, she is the best swag. So if you don't have anything Cozy Mystery, or hell, it's almost Christmas time, it's almost holidays time. Who needs to shop for somebody in their life? Support local businesses. That includes Cozy Mystery Book Club and Boobies and Newbies, but I don't have as cool swag as she does.
I mean, for me, I don't really think of it as a shop or anything. I made all of the royalties as low as humanly possible. And then every time there's any royalty, I'm always buying the new swag to just send you guys the stuff for free.
I know, you're so good.
I never want anyone to feel like I'm trying to utilize like the group for something. I'm like, I don't want this to be a business. I don't want you guys to feel that way. I never wanted to come across that way. Like, this is just meant to be a happy, positive place. I'm not going to exploit you for a profit. Like, I promise. You're probably going to notice that on I think it's Zazzle and Society 6, because you can set your own royalties. Mm-hmm. So there's a very good chance all of my prices are lower than anything else on the website.
Oh, I see somebody else new tonight. Storm Bug. That's awesome. Name. I love it. I love that everybody is here. Oh, I'm kicking myself that I don't come as often to this club as I should. I definitely should come more often. It's just scheduling, but I'm here and I'm so excited because I told Angela before we started, I really liked this book.
I am so excited to talk about Books Can Be Deceiving. So I have my notebook. I have so many things written down. I mean, we started mentioning Sully randomly. We might just want to start there at some point. I was very impressed with this book. And so again, I mentioned at the very beginning, as Kelly and I were talking before doing the official introductions, I actually read it as the ebook first, and then I listened to it in audio. And then because I'm me and I want to do the best job possible for y'all, I was listening to it again on audio. So I technically 2.5 or 4/5 read. I don't know how you want to refer to it, but I was listening to the audio and I noticed something different each time. I'm going, oh my gosh, I didn't pick up on that at first. So I am ready to talk about this book. I am pumped. So I can't wait I want to know what you guys think. I want to know if you enjoyed it. I want to know your thoughts. Where do you want to start? You want to start with Sully?
We totally can. I was just going to say, Lady Gizmo said Jenn McKinlay. I will say, I think this is my first read of one of her books. And I know that you guys focus on the first book in a series in the club. And normally, first books in series are not necessarily my favorite book in a cozy mystery series because there's so much time spent like introducing everyone and maybe not as much time spent on like the mystery itself. But I actually found the pacing of this book to be pretty good. Like, I was kind of marking it as I went, and the first murder happens like right at 30% in. And I was like, okay, like, I mean, compared to when we did the chocolate chip cookie murder and it happens in the first chapter. Oh, hello, Maxie.
Max has been on my lap. He just decided to make his appearance. I did an Instagram live story. I didn't do the live video, but I was posting his stories earlier, and he was on the floor, like running through my legs like a cat. Like he didn't realize he was a dog, and now he wants the attention. So our little sleeping companion.
He deserves our attention. He's gorgeous.
My little man.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's all I wanted to say about that was just I see a few people who have said like they're already reading like the next book or books in the series, and I totally get it. Like this is one where after reading it, I'm like, I would totally read more in this series. Like I would totally read more books.
You were hitting the nail on my like on the head with me. So one of my notes was I kind of started doing this thing afterwards, or after I kind of do like my little recap, because I make my notes as I go of, oh, that's an interesting part, oh, this. And one of my reflective notes for this particular read was looking at it from a reader perspective versus a writer perspective, because I think she did a really great job focusing on who her target audience was. She thought about the readers, and so setting up the rest of the series, I could see that in this book. And from a reader perspective, I thought that was great, because writers are always, oh, every single scene needs to contribute to the plot. So for instance, I think this scene was great. Sully and Lindsay, I don't know if you just heard him burp.
I did not. Oh no, Angela's frozen on my screen. Is she frozen on anybody else's screen? Angela! Am I frozen? Who's frozen? Okay, she's coming. She'll get here. She probably just had a lot of really insightful, wonderful things to say too that we missed the whole time.
What's going on? I'm so sorry. Can you hear me?
I hear and see you now. It was you froze, and I was like telling them, I'm like, she's probably having this wonderful conversation and talking about the book, and we'll never know what she had to say.
I'm so sorry. All of a sudden, I think the internet just it did that little thing like reconnecting. I'm like, I never disconnected. What's going on?
Technology. No. You are all good. Somebody said keep the party going.
I'm like, oh, these, because I didn't know if StreamYard, I'm like, because I invited Kelly in, I was like, oh, please let her still be able to talk to them. I was like, I don't want to have the whole conversation go away. Oh.
I'm here. Don't you worry. Girl, I host things all the time, and let me tell you, it is never smooth. So it is perfectly fine. I just feel bad because I'm sure you were saying wonderful things.
I don't even remember where I left out, because all of a sudden I'm like going, oh my gosh, what's that? I was saying something. Oh, the perspective. That's what it was. So Sully and Lindsay save Nancy, the landlord. And so technically speaking, that scene didn't really contribute to the mystery or anything else other than showing their characterizations. But we already see beforehand Sully's thoughtful and caring when he helps Beth and when he takes them home. And same thing with Lindsay. I mean, she paid for a meal, even though Mary said, hey, it's on the house, don't worry about it. She put the money in the tip jar. So we had already seen those characterizations, but we get the backstory with Nancy. And so you're like, this is going to come back later. Maybe not in book one, but later on in the series. And when Sully tells Lindsay and Beth the story about the island with the family and the fire, we don't see that island again, but I know it's going to come back.
Okay. Yeah, it better, because otherwise I would be very upset. Because let me tell you, I watch a lot more mysteries than I read, but I do read them. And the minute he pointed out the island with like the burnt down house and like the family died, but they never found the dad. I'm like, somebody murdered. Where's the dad? He's the murderer. Where is he? Okay, who in this book is old enough to have been the father 20-something years ago? Who could it be? I kept trying to like tie every story into this one. And I think it's just because I'm a very greedy reader. Like, I want every loose end to be tied. I want to know every single thing. And if you set something up and it doesn't pay off, I'm gonna be pissed. And so I had to tell myself, like, you know what? I feel like there still has to be a reason that this is being set up. And I'm going to believe that that's going to be answered in future books. So somebody's going to have to tell me, all y'all who are on like book number 7 or 8, I don't need to know the answer. I just want to know that there is an answer. Like, because if there's not, I'm going to be very upset.
I will admit, I didn't want to spoil. When it comes to book one in a series, I learned this book inside and out. But when it comes to the rest of the books, what I'll do is I'll look up the Goodreads pages to see how many there are in the series. So I looked it up, and so next up is book 12, and I could not believe. I'm going, she is a very talented writer to be on book 12. And so I am very impressed by that, first of all. But I was reading the different summaries. So I don't want to do the spoilery because we're going to have to talk about Sully, because they put a pin in their relationship at one point. I'm going, I might have to just pick back up when that pin has been taken out. So I might end up starting at book 5 or something. But
okay,
there are going to be 12 books right now. So she has been pretty prolific because she writes multiple series. So I'm giving Jen a little, high five praise there. So I'm hoping somewhere in these 11 other books, these other storylines.
Yes. No, and there's people in the comments saying that there will be answers later on. Thank you, Jesus. Like, that is literally all I needed to know. It's just that there will be answers, because I would be very upset if there wasn't. So that's more of the writer in me, is like, why are you giving us this like storyline and this isn't going anywhere? Like that would just, it really bothers me. It's like, if anybody watches American Horror Story, every season of Ryan Murphy's American Horror Story, he just tosses half of the script out the window. But yeah, so no, I'm with you. I think the character development was great. I loved everyone. Like, well, no, I hated the mean people, but I loved
Miss Lemon.
You know what? But she gets a great ending. Like,
I love that.
She gets
so happy. I was laughing
perfect
out loud.
ending. Yeah,
that was great.
But Nancy, love her. Violet, the like old actress that lives there, who volunteers to take over story time, love her. Sully, obviously fantastic. And I feel like maybe, I know women tend to be a little bit more judgmental of female characters in books. Like, this is something we talk about on Boobies and Newbies all the time, but I really liked Lindsay. Like, I found her to be very competent. I found her to be fun and smart. And she was a good friend. Like, I really enjoyed her.
I have to admit, I think I had already been enjoying her, but I think she won my heart when she called the ex-fiance, whom she spoke to, never call. Like, she said, I'm never going to talk to this guy. I want all connections severed. And she puts her friendship with Beth first and says, I'm going to call this guy. I don't want to talk to him, but I want to find out who the best lawyer is to help my friend. And I'm going to do that. And I'm going, I love you. I am here for you. Whatever happens, I'm on your side. I don't know what happens in future books, but moments like that, I'm an ally, and you're not going to lose me.
Yes. I think the fiance is going to come back at some point too, in like other books. Stephanie, I liked the friendship between Lindsay and Beth too. And is anybody else hoping Beth hooks up with like the hot naked art professor from
that was in my notes, because she seemed
from the college? I mean, you and I are both romance readers too, so it's like it's hard for me to read a book and not try to fabricate a romance if it's not already there.
Well, I saw, again, I only read the book blurbs for future books, and it said that Beth got married. I'm going, to who? And I'm going, but I don't want to know. But I want to
Oh.
know. I don't want to know. So I'm trying to figure out, but I kind of want it to be him because this, again, a little spoilery, he gets shot. I'm going, this guy needs a good happy ending himself. Like he needs to have, he needs to find love and comfort because he was awesome. This guy had zero qualms about anything. And when it comes to mysteries, sometimes you'll have those characters of, I'm not going to be helpful. He's like, just tell me, just ask me a question. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Which is great. I'm going, thank you. You're moving the story along. And
yes.
Thanks to them.
Oh, and Milton. I liked Milton a lot. As the old, okay, wait. But you know what? I marked it in the book because they mentioned that this dude is well into his 80s and he's doing freaking like yoga on his head in like random places. And then she also says that like any woman over the age of 50 is like, has the hots for him. I'm just like, how hot is this guy? Like this guy is 82 years old. Is he like he must be like a young 82, like a very like fit, buff, but he's also short with a wiry build and no hair on his head. I have questions. I have a lot of questions about Milton.
I have to admit, I didn't know what to make of him at first because I'm going, you're in a public library doing a handstand. Okay. But when she came to him at the end of the day to ask for his help in regards to finding out who owned the island and doing the backstory for Rick, and he brings the food in to help, to feed her, going, I know you had a long time, you just came from work. You want to have dinner? And she even said, oh, you didn't have to go through all that trouble. He's like, what, putting food on a plate? That's nothing. I'm going, you are a sweetheart. I like this cozy community. I like that you're in this cozy community. You cannot be a murder victim or suspect at any point. You're fine, little angel Milton. That again, one of those moments. I go to those random moments of she called the ex-fiance, Milton gave her food. Like those are the details where I'm going, I am here. I'm in this series now. I'm staying.
Crystal T. Nitz and Colleen both said Cary Grant as like Milton, which is so funny because my mind was not there. But now that you've said it, I'm like, ooh, damn, if that's the case, like I can get on board with Milton. But
I mean, your vision, I like the description, but in your head, I mean, either way, he seems like a doll. I mean, you want him to be your grandfather. I mean, again, I don't really play chess. I haven't played it in years. I'm like, I will relearn for you, Milton. You want someone to hang out with you?
Yeah, that's why this book gave me like Schitt's Creek vibes, was the fact that like this is a small town on the coast that clearly is mostly older people, or like people who grew up there and they just like kind of stayed as adults. And I don't know, like they talk about how the restaurant is the only restaurant in the whole town. So like it's a very different picture of like the small town that I feel like we usually get in cozy mysteries. Like most cozy mysteries I've read are like, the quaint small town that has like the coffee shop, the bakery, the restaurant. But I thought this was like a little bit different just in terms of the setting of like, it's a lot of fishing and boating, and there's like the wharf with the one restaurant. Like it makes me wonder, like in future books, like where things take place and like what other things happen in this town. So I don't know. Like I'm definitely intrigued. Like it was different for me in it compared to like a lot of the other cozies that I've read.
I have to admit, I got the kind of idea that it was a very small place in regards to that. I mean, it definitely gave me sort of home feels because I'm from Massachusetts and I always love the water. I love the boats. I love everything about that area. And so it kind of, I made me a little, not homesick, but reminiscent of, I remember going and doing whale watching.
Yeah.
And so I think I really appreciated this setting. And when you mentioned other places for murders, I'm going, well, technically there are other little islands out there. So we have all these other places for murder.
And that's cool. Like, I don't think I've ever really read a story, not just cozy, but like any kind of story that's like set on a series of islands. Like, I don't even think about that being a thing because I have never lived there. I've never visited that. So like, I'm like, oh, is this a real thing in like Connecticut and Massachusetts? There's like all these little islands. Like
I never really thought of that either. And again, I'm from the North Shore. I wasn't a member, and I mean, it was one of those yacht clubs. Like, all the high schools had their proms there, sort of place. Like, it's not like a yacht club, but just the local town one. So I mean, I grew up near the water and stuff, but I never thought about the little islands and other things like that. And even then, I think of Gloucester and other places like that, and they're much larger. And so the fact that it was sort of a small town, part of the coast, I like that it was separated from the tourist, and it was its own little kind of entity, and it had their own little, I don't want to say they were isolated or insulated, but there was definitely a vibe.
But you're right. Yeah, and there's something, I mean, like, there's something inherently spooky about that. Like, something very, like, I think I get kind of like Stephen King vibes, like, he's the one from Maine, right? Where it's so isolated that you're like, oh, this is like a beautiful, picturesque place, but also like, if somebody gets killed or screams or something, nobody's going to hear you, sort of thing. So I think that's what I liked about it, is that just based off the setting, there's already something kind of spooky and mysterious about that. One murder per island.
I saw that comment, and I was like, this is amazing. Because she said there are all sorts of dozens of islands going, this series is going to be very long if that's the case, but I like it. And again, I'm here for it right now. That's amazing.
Regina said, I think the Thumb Islands are based on the 𝗵𝗏 Islands off of Connecticut, which again, I had no idea that was even a thing. And forgive me if I get your name wrong. Aiko, said like Washington, Seattle area has the series of islands. I do know that. I live in Portland right now, so I'm familiar.
Latest move
with that. Yes. I'm actually, I don't know if you know this, but I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, and I'm actually from an island. Like, it's technically an island in the San Francisco Bay, but like, it's not, I think tropical. That's absolutely not the case. And it's not the case in this book either.
I thought it was so cute though, because it's unique when it comes to cozies. I don't really see this as the typical cozy mystery in a way, even though it hits the cozy check marks, because we had our food, we had the clam chowder, we had our hot cocoa by our former Navy man Sully. We had the quirky characters with Milton on his head doing yoga. We had our librarian. There are all these check marks of cozies, but yet it had a different vibe to me. And
I agree. I liked that. I liked that a lot. And also I have this expectation now that when I read a cozy mystery, there better be at least one recipe in the back of the book, because I don't even care if it's about food or not. Like, this one's not about food. You better believe I was like, if there is not a clam chowder recipe at the back of this book, I'm going to be very upset. And there was, and hot chocolate, and it was really clever. They had like discussion questions, but not for this book, for the book that they read in the book. So if you wanted to like create your own crafternoon, you have like a schedule already ready to, you've got what you're going to drink, what you're going to eat, your discussion questions, the book. There's a knitting tutorial pattern thing. I mean, it's really clever, all the things that Jenn McKinlay put in here to include.
I had to go back because I wanted to get all of the literary references that she included, because I think that also broadened her sort of reach, because she has all the different genres. She had, again, with romance, she had J.R. Ward's Black Dagger Brotherhood thrown in the mix, and then she had Harlan Coben, again, our favorite leading man. He reads. There's a reason he's the favorite leading man. Then we have Amanda Quick, and we had C.J. Box. Then we had the children's authors. I mean, she really went down the list, and she even had True Lies.
Yeah. Oh my God.
At the beginning. I lost it. I loved it.
I was like, I love that they came into Rent a Movie, which, by the way, I forget that you can do at libraries. And she recommends True Lies to them. I was like, that just shows our age, first of all, that we like know True Lies, because and I think they say she's like 35 in the book, and that's 32. So I was like, okay, this is in my age range. True Lies. God, if people here haven't seen that movie, you need to go watch. It is so good. It is like the best, my opinion, best Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. And Jamie Lee Curtis is like a fox in that movie. Like, that woman, oh my God, so hot.
Because I grew up with her with like Freaky Friday, and so I always thought of her as the mom, even though she's iconic for her, teen horror movies. I grew up with her in a different capacity, and then I think I probably saw that on one of those Stars or Epics or one of those channels, and I'm going, this is a very different movie, and she's amazing in it. And I saw
smoking hot.
What's her name? Elijah Dushku. She was Faith on Buffy. She's the daughter. So
yes.
that movie. And I like how I'm getting all the references. And then the book that they read was The Last Time I Saw Paris, and the other option was The 𝗕𝗐 by Iris Murdoch. And these are, again, real books. Sometimes,
and Rebecca is the one that they're reading at the very beginning.
I mean, sometimes when it comes to just books in general, they'll have fictitious movies and fictitious social media platforms. I like that she included real titles, because you're going, oh, I read that. Oh, I know someone who reads those books. Oh, yeah, I saw the Harlan Coben on Netflix. Like, I saw the adaptation. So I think she kind of kept me going and feeling, not invested, because I was already invested, but she kind of gave me those little reader feels of, oh, I get this. Oh, so you would have these little happy moments.
Like if you don't get the reference, like if she says Harlan Coben and like that means nothing to you, then it's like she still goes on to say like he loves a good like thriller or whatever. But what I liked, and I saw a couple people mention this in the comments, is like it was a great way of us knowing what she knows about, like, she basically is like, in like a Baker romance, how they can like see somebody and be like, ooh, he is like an apple pie. Like this guy is everything that an apple pie embodies. Like in this case, the books that each of the characters like, and the fact that she knows that these are the books that they like, it tells us so much about each of the characters, as well as about Lindsay. Like she clearly remembers everybody based off of like their reading interests. And that's kind of what's in the back of her head. Like, ooh, he likes mysteries. Ooh, she loves historical romances, and nobody knows but the two of us. Like, and I loved that she knew that about each person. Like, and it, also tells you what a small town this is. The fact that she definitely knows every person.
I love how I'm just nodding, like, exactly. I loved the moment when I forget what the checkout girl was, but I might have been when she was buying the muffins, and she asked the girl, oh, did you enjoy the Hunger Games? And the girl perked right up, says, yes, I'm reading, I'm on book 3. And her entire disposition, and I'm going, I'm reading this book. This wasn't when I listened to audio. I was just, again, reading the book, like the ebook version, and her character came alive. I'm going, you just made this character's voice change in my head.
Yeah.
Hello, great writing.
Yeah.
And that was because she asked about her being a reader. And I also love the reference, and I think everyone here being readers gets it. She's like, yeah, I stayed up way too late reading. And I'm going, high five. Right there with you. I know.
So true.
I love how she made them all feel special, though. Same thing with the woman going, nope, the book's not in yet, even before she asked the question. She made the readers and the people who visited her library feel important and like they mattered. It wasn't just, oh, you're another visitor, which is what I think the Lemon kind of does. Like everyone's the same, with the fines. Oh, you're going to have to pay, regardless of the fact that this poor kid is working on I think she said it was a school project.
Yeah.
I mean, if you deprive someone of research books for school, you're going to hurt his grade, the GPA, everything else. And so I like the fact that these were real visitors with the library, and she referenced them as, real people, not just the numbers. I love it.
She didn't just like roll over either. Like even like both with the Lemon, and then also with like when people start coming at her, like that awful reporter. Oh my God, I was almost rooting for her to die. That she doesn't back down. She's like, no, I support my employees. Like, and also nothing has been, no accusations have been like formally made. Like nothing has, she was so strong, but not mean. Like she was such a well-balanced, like real person. I think that's something that I have trouble with both in cozies and in romance sometimes, is that because the cozies and the romance that I read are usually contemporary, they're set in our times. And so I just think about our times as reality. And so when I read a cozy or a romance that like something just goes against that, like whether it's a character flaw or something that happens in the story, I'll be like, that's not that wouldn't happen. Like, this is a 35-year-old woman. Then it bothers me because I'm just like, you're asking me to like, you're telling me this is fiction, but at the same time, it is set now. And so there are things that like, if they don't fall in line with what I'm used to in 2021, and I know this is from about a decade ago, then it's just going to feel false to me. And this one felt very current. This one did feel very current to me. Like, I mean, they, I know that they're not a gay couple, but like they go to investigate at the apartment and they, you know, the old landlady is like, oh, are you a couple? Are you roommates? And I'm like, great. I love this. We are acknowledging the fact that like there are same-sex couples who exist in this world. So there were just so many things that felt so now that I would have believed this was a book written in like 2019, 2020.
I also have to appreciate the fact that, I mean, we only had one Black character and then her daughter was Black too. So we only had the two representations, but I'm going, at least you have some representation, because sometimes with cozies, it does lead very, very pale.
And it's Connecticut. Like, and no shade to anybody who's from Connecticut or lives, I'm just saying, like, when I think of Connecticut, the demographic I envision is predominantly white. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that like in this small town off the coast of Connecticut, that like that happens to be like the majority of the population. However, I'm always looking for more diversity in my reads. So there was at least an acknowledgement of it in this book, because you're right. It's often missing from cozies. So I do appreciate that.
I mean, again, I always feel it's so funny that we're talking about this. I was going to surprise y'all with something that I did. One of my latest things is I deal with insomnia, and I have so I've learned Procreate, and so what I've done is I've learned how to it's an app, so I learned how to do the designs. And so I was going to surprise y'all with a future post, so when you guys see this, you'll be like, oh, I remember she actually showed us, because I wanted to show support for diverse sleuthing. I don't know if you guys can, I don't know how to make this screen go.
I can't.
So maybe if I can like make it darker.
Oh, there we go.
So when you guys see it, I use Procreate to do the design. I wanted to do the LGBTQ plus flag with Sleuther to say, you know, sleuthing and supporting diversity. So I just, something I've been working on too. I like how this kind of just dovetails right into there.
No, that's awesome. And you know what, maybe, you know, it's probably a whole different conversation, but between you and everybody who's here that reads a lot more cozies than I do, I would love recommendations for any LGBTQ rep in cozy mysteries. So, I mean, if I haven't read one where they focus on predominantly like LGBTQ plus characters. So if people have them and they want to recommend them to me, please do. If we don't know about any, I think we need to find some or write some.
I have to, I will give Victoria Gilbert a shout out, because I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but she has I love her character. I think, what's his name? But she does have a gay male friend in her series who's reoccurring. I remember saying to her in person, was like, you cannot kill him. I love him. But so people are getting better. So I'm going to give Victoria Gilbert a shout out. And she's the first one that popped into my head. But I want to give you guys, I made the exact same note with this. MapQuest. I wrote that down because I printed MapQuest directions. I remember my mom doing that when I was in middle school. I just saw these comments popping up. I'm like, I know this is a totally different conversation, but I was reading these. I'm like, yeah, same wavelength. I thought that was hysterical.
There were little things like that that definitely reminded me, like, oh, that's right, this isn't 2021. Just like, you know, as a reminder, there were like a few words they used that, in fact, I think it was just once, that aren't technically like PC terms today. So I was like, oh, okay, interesting. But again, things change over time. I totally get it. I will say I loved when they would go on like their little like short road trips to find out information. And she says, road trips required a couple of things: a well-balanced diet of caffeine, salt, and sugar, and an excellent selection of tunes. And it made me wonder what yours and what everybody else's like go to like road snacks and road music is, because I have like a very specific road snack that I
You've
get.
actually done road trips. I wrote down that I thought it was funny that an hour drive was road trip. I'm like, that's gonna stop for traffic. Like, what do you mean?
I know.
I mean, I thought that was hysterical. I'm going, that's not a road trip.
That is funny. Like, they get snacks and everything.
I thought that was hysterical. I'm like, that's not a road trip. That is just, you know, I thought that was funny because I'm going, what's your usual commute? I mean, you must be very spoiled.
Yeah, for real.
You gotta love how I'm doing this because I remember being stuck on work hour traffic for 2+ hours.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I lived in LA for 5 years and Chicago for 2 years, so I mean, I definitely know like the city commute for sure. I will say when it comes to road trips, I am like a go-to Bugles and mini donuts fan. Those are like my 2 must-have eats on the road.
I mean, I can't really remember if I've done road trip. Because I don't think I've ever been the driver for one. Also, you probably don't want me as the driver for one. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I mean, I know my parents, when they would drive me, I used to play my country music. I like country. I don't know if you guys like country music, but I love my country music. I remember Luke Bryan playing when I was stuck in my work hour traffic. I remember that.
There you go. Yep. Oh, good. Somebody else likes Bugles. Awesome. Good. I'm loving all the snacks people are sharing, by the way.
Yeah, you kind of go with like pretzels or, you know, something.
Yeah. So I will
like
say
a sandwich. You want like snacks.
No, why would you bring a sandwich?
Yeah, you don't want something, you're not going to be like eating a 4-course meal sort of thing. You want like, you got to have that sort of like drugstore. I went into CVS and bought my bag of like Lay's potato chips. Like that's.
Oh yeah. Gas station is like the place to go to for food when you're hitting the road. Like that is the best snacks right there. I will say, as much as I love the fact that they have the clam chowder recipe at the end and the hot chocolate recipe at the end, let me bring up what I thought was the dumbest meal I've ever read in a book before. You ready for this? Here we go. Spinach salad with hard-boiled eggs and mushrooms with a drizzle of raspberry vinaigrette. What is this combination of food? What is going on here?
Good minus the mushrooms.
But like with raspberry, I don't know. This egg, mushroom, raspberry. To me, these 3 ingredients do not go together.
I actually thought it sounded good minus the mushrooms. Because I go to Sweet Greens all the time. I get my balsamic vinaigrette, and it's not like you just throw in a hard-boiled egg. You cut up the egg. So it's not just like an egg sits on top of the salad. So
I don't know. There was something about
egg in my salad.
I do too. No. I love egg in my salad, but I'm saying like, but like egg with like something fruity? Like that just seems weird to, I don't know. There was something about the combination where I literally had to like reread it a couple times. I was like, wait a second, she's eating what?
I've never had raspberry dressing, but to me that sounds really good because I used to like, I don't even think they made it, but like they used to have like a champagne sort of vinaigrette and that seems similar to me. So I kind of want to try it, but maybe they should include that as a future recipe for the series.
It's one where I was like, I kind of want to make it just to try it, but also I don't like mushrooms. So like already we're at a loss. But it's the combo of the egg and the raspberry that just throws me off. I'm sorry to like derail the conversation with this.
No, this is what book clubs are. We're supposed to talk about our responses, and this is your response.
It was a visceral response too. Like I was outraged when I don't know why this like bothered me so much. See, just not mushrooms. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So other people are like me. I mean, I'm not a mushroom person. I'm also not. I also don't eat meat. So a lot of times when it comes to some of the recipes, I think it was I love how I'm thinking of the Lee Hollis title in my head, but Krista Davis, her Diva series, they had recipes at the back and they were meat related. I'm like, can't appreciate them like I wanted to.
Yes. Yes.
So I think I just appreciate, I mean, again, with clam chowder, I'm not really, I used to always just eat the broth. Like I would never actually eat the actual broth in the clam chowder.
Girl, what you doing? That's not how you eat clam chowder.
I know, but that one actually sounded fine to me. And I'm a very nitpicky, strange eater. So yeah, there's a lot of times I have responses to food and cozies, but I usually I know I'm peculiar with my little habits because I feel like a 5-year-old sometimes. I'm like, if I don't like the way it looks, that's not going in my mouth.
No, and that's totally well. And if anybody else watches Top Chef, like I do, you know that like they always tell them we eat first with our eyes, and it's like
like eyes.
Yeah, because they'll be like, well, it tastes good, but it looks like garbage, so we're not gonna have you win. I'm like, okay, but
we have what is it? Style over substance, the Great British Baking Show.
Yes, well, that's a lot more calm. Like, and you know what? I love them both. I love Great British Bake Off. I love Top Chef. One is a lot more angry than the other one, and sometimes you need that. But yeah, the food great, except for that salad, really bothered me. But other than that, I did. Let me tell you, who's the guy that dies? Rick, right?
I know. I'm like, Rick. I didn't even look down at my notes. I'm like, I don't even know. I'm like crossing stuff off. Like, we talked about this. We talked about that.
Oh my goodness. The minute he is introduced, first of all,
you're rooting for this guy to die.
Oh my God, for real. Like, let me read you this small section. And this was the moment, I think this is like the second page that we see him. And I was like, yep, he's got to go. Eva stopped by their table and took Rick's order. He was one of those on the side types. He wanted his salad with dressing on the side and a baked potato with butter on the side. When his meal arrived, he tucked into his steak after sending it back once because it was too rare and proceeded to chew with his mouth open. Oh my God. Like, she was with this guy for 5 years, which just goes to show, one, how bad the dating pool is. Not just in Connecticut, but like in general. Like, she was willing to stay with this guy for 5 years just so she did not have to go date again.
I have so many questions about it being a 5-year relationship. If they had spent 8 months.
Oh no, you froze again, Angela. Okay. While we wait for Angela to unfreeze, I will just continue talking about what a piece of crap Rick is. Is she still frozen for everybody else, or is it just me? She's coming. Gaslighting. Glad someone mentioned that, because this guy, he clearly, I think he did like.
I kind of would have.
Are you there? Okay, Stephanie can see me. We'll wait for Angela to come back, but I'm assuming he must have done some like real emotional damage for Beth with the gaslighting and just constantly berating because.
Okay, I'm back, hopefully.
Okay.
I don't know what just happened.
It's okay. I just continued talking about what a piece of crap Rick was and the fact that he was gaslighting Beth so much. Like, that must have been one of the reasons she was like stuck with him.
I mean, I don't know what just happened. So my apartment building, so I lost internet access for a day and a half, and I thought something was wrong with my modem. I'm literally cleaning everything out around the modem. I'm just connecting everything. I'm trying my different devices. And like 3 days later, after I've been doing this, the apartment building's like, yeah, Comcast has been having problems. And I'm going, I thought it was me. Like, you didn't tell me this before. So,
well, it's good to know though that it's not just you. Like, I mean, I know it sucks, but like, at least it's not just you. It's like everybody is having to deal with.
After I thought it was me, and I'm going crazy and everything else.
They were gaslighting you.
I'm so sorry that happened. I'm so glad that you're so
okay.
See, this is why I mean, I love you as like a human being and everything else, but I'm like, she is talented as a hostess because she goes, there's tech problems. I'm just going to keep going. So I appreciate that instead of you being like a deer in the headlights, like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Okay.
I got to put that theater degree to use, you know? But no, I'm with everybody in the comments who's saying that like he had to go, like he had to go. And that's why I kept thinking the reporter might die too, is like, she kind of sucked. But I'm glad we got rid of him, and I'm glad Beth is free of him. Ooh, treats.
So he dropped his treat into my purse. He tried to bury his treat, but then he couldn't get it back.
Oh.
So he was barking at my Michael Kors purse.
What an attention seeker.
I
definitely did not see it coming, though, with like the actual solving of the crime, of like where things were going. And I think it's because I kept thinking about all the stuff that we had learned about, like, we didn't really learn, but just like the mention of like the family dying in the fire on the island. And I kept thinking like, oh, like, what is it going to tie into that? Like, I didn't know where it was going to go. And so when they started like investigating his past, the minute they mentioned, oh yeah, Renee said 5 years and you've never been to his place. The minute they mentioned that, and then also the fact that his books didn't have a picture of him in the books, I was like, oh, something shady. Like, he's not writing these books. He's taking something. Like, I knew that he was stealing, like, because if he has done it once from his girlfriend of 5 years, he will do it again.
I have to admit, I love how I'm trying to flip through my notebook to find where it is, because that was my little going back to piece together the clues that she integrated.
Yes.
And I didn't really think much of it at the time when he didn't have the book blurb. It wasn't until later I'm like, oh, that makes sense now. Whereas before you get that, before they go and investigate and find out about everything else, that was supposed to be that little clue of that little nugget that's going to grow into everything else. But yeah. I have to admit, the one problem when it came to the 5-year relationship that probably either shows Beth's lack of agency or just his complete manipulation control was he doesn't have a family. So how did he explain not spending Christmas with her, not spending the birthday with her? How did he explain not having
she doesn't even get to go to his house. Like, they've been
I didn't really understand
5 years and she's never been in his house. Like, that is red flag number 7, 12, and 87. Like, I mean, that is all the red flags right there.
I didn't know what to do with that, because I'm kind of going, it wasn't really addressed. I mean, there wasn't his go-to of I'm working in the creative process and you can't disturb me. There was never any explanation of that. And so I was kind of curious how he accounted for the loss of time, because you think if this is your significant other, you're going to spend Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or any of the other major holidays with them.
Yeah, Regina said, I felt like she really didn't resolve the plagiarism. Yeah, I mean, that's totally true, because when we find out Sydney isn't Sydney and real Sydney's dead, but we've never actually met real Sydney, I'm like, okay, well, that to me means like his book is probably not gonna come out, like, just because like the author and the like editor attached to it are now gone. Like, I would assume that means the book would be shelved, but I don't know.
I actually have questions about fake Sydney. That's actually how I wrote about her in my notes too.
Fake Sydney.
I actually wrote that in my notes, fake Sydney, because I didn't know what to call her after a certain point. Because this might have been when I was doing the reread portion of this. This is sort of like Die Hard 2, when you realize, why didn't they just go to a different airport? Hold on. Like, you can't really think too much about it, because when you do, the little threads fall. But there was no reason for her to pretend to be Sydney, because no one in the town knew Sydney, so she could have used whatever name she wanted. So why did she even pretend to be Sydney? What was the point of that?
I don't know, because like, I assumed it was just like her trying to like get in touch, because she kept saying like, oh, he won't come meet with me. Like, he won't come see me. And I'm like, is she trying to just like tell him that she's there as Sydney and like expecting that he'll come meet her? I don't know. Cause that was the same question. I see a few people have had that question too. Okay, is just sort of like, what, why masquerade as Sydney when you could just be like this stranger staying in town? Like, who cares?
I was kind of confused about that, because we also, again, this was probably a very nitpicky thing, but we never actually find out how she killed him. How did she get to the island? How did she get away from the island? Was she on the island when the police were there? I mean, did they not notice her? I mean, I wasn't entirely sure how that played out, because
me neither.
maybe this is going to come up in book 2. Maybe this is just me being overly analytical because that's what I do. But her entire sort of, as soon as you start pulling at it, it's like the knitting. You're going, oh, okay, I'm pulling this, and we're losing the.
Whoa! Way to connect back to the story with knitting. No, I'm with you though, because like there's like the brief mention that like his boat isn't parked where it's usually parked the night before they find his body. And so I'm like, okay, did she kill him that night? Because that's the other thing is like the cops, there's like the one useless police officer, and then there's the female police officer who kind of like disappears after a while. And then there's the detective from the state that is like actually doing work, but also never tells anybody anything useful. Like they're like, oh, did he, the time of death? He's like, yeah. And it's like, okay. So like, we never get to find out, like if he died the night before, if he died moments before they arrived on the island. You're right. It is very interesting that it's like, in some ways, I love this book because it ties up a lot of things, but also there's all these things put into motion, which everybody thankfully has told me happen in future books. However, I don't think they're going to come back to this particular murder in future books. So I'm just like, do we ever get answers to these questions?
I think the only, I don't want to call it the saving grace, but I think the one bright spot is the fact that these are very, I don't want to call them nitpicky, but they're minor things in comparison to the motivation. Everyone, the meat, like the means, motive. I mean, she has all the big check marks. So I think that's the main thing. This is just
want the juicy
something
details.
That's the thing. Like when you love something, you want all of the stuff, right? Yes. I think that's actually saying how good the book is, because we're going, but I want more. I want more. That's exactly what good writing is supposed to do. It's supposed to make you want more. Because if you're going, I want less, that's the problem.
Yes, very true. I will say, I think my only complaint, other than all of these questions that we will probably never know the answer to, is that when I read a book, whether it's a cozy or a romance, because I feel like those are like the two things I read the most, if it takes place in a bakery, in a park, in a library, whatever it is that like the character is like, that is like their world, I usually want to see them use the skills that they use in that world to solve the crime. And I feel like that wasn't done to its full potential. Like, I mean, it's because I'm like, she's a librarian. Like, she is all about research and organization and books. And so I was like, is there no way for her to incorporate these things into solving the crime? Like, and maybe that'll come in future books. Like, I mean, but I don't know. I kind of, instead of her asking all these people like Milton or Sully or like about things that like they can find out the information, I wanted to find, and she does go find out more. Yeah, exactly. Like Stephanie said, she does leave to go find out things, but I was like, I wish there was like a way to incorporate her using the library more into solving the crime.
I was like, English Oxford Dictionary did come in handy.
Yes, and I made a note of it. I was like, you know what? She knows all the things about everybody and like what they like to read. And at the end, I do think the Oxford English Dictionary is like the one thing that really does tie in to the world of the library. And it's a great callback to earlier when they mentioned getting rid of the Oxford English Dictionary as like a joke. I'm like, oh, well, now they can never get rid of it. Like, hello.
Right back around.
Yeah,
again,
it was
perfect. Of having mentioned something and then bringing it back home. That was great.
Yeah.
I think for me, the skill with her is, this is my perspective with this, because when I go to libraries, I write in my books. I mean, if I pull those books out, there's going to be post notes, there's going to be highlights. And so I don't really use libraries for the books. I would use them for the community element. And I feel like that's kind of what happened in this book. Rather than using her librarian, knowing this sort of, tactical thing when it comes to reference materials, she used the library community as her sort of network. So that's kind of
that's fair.
Skills.
That's fair. I do like Elle mentioned she probably would have known how to check property records for the owner of the island, for example. That's exactly what I mean, is like, I and that's what I thought of too, was I was like, there's got to be like records, right? Like there has like about this town, this small town, they have to have like public records or like history of our town or some, you know, like
who owns what house is public record.
There you go. But yeah,
that was my whole writer versus reader perspective. A writer who doesn't know this is public record, but a reader is like, hey, we just got to have an I Dream of Jeannie reference in here. So
that's right. See, and like, that I was like, I love this lady. That's you know, in the assistant care facility. I'm just like,
come back.
I would love to see her in more things, but I don't know. Maybe she owns the other island. She owns like another island or something. And somebody else will die on that island. I don't know. I want to see these characters get more of their own stories in future books. Like, I mean, we have Violet, who's like a retired actress. I'm like, you better believe there has to be a book at the theater. Like, if there's not a community theater production.
I looked up the book blurbs. That's one of them. She's staging a production.
Thank God.
That's one of them. And another one apparently is set. It has to do with the library itself being a character. I didn't read the reviews because I didn't want to spoil it. But someone mentioned in the book, I think because it shows who your friends are and what their reviews are. And I scrolled a little bit too far, and I just saw like the first couple of sentences. And so I'm going, no, I don't want to read anymore.
I'm just like, no.
But yeah, the library, the setting comes back around. And I was really glad to read that, because one of my notes, you got to love how I have my highlights. Like, it just says library. It's just all starts in pink. Because I was writing down the setting, the description, because it sounds so cozy. I wanted the library to be described more, so I love that the library is utilized more in future books. So again,
also, this is a huge library for such a small town. Like, they mentioned that there is a children's desk, a circulation desk, a reference desk, and I'm like, this is the largest like place in the entire town, is the library.
I was very intrigued by this, because I don't mean this to sound bad, but they had a very large staff for a small town library.
Yes,
with all the part-time employees and volunteers, and having multiple directors.
Many people that worked there. I was just like, is this like this in the restaurant? Are they the only businesses that make money like in this town? And it's a library. It's not like it's making money. Like, it was so funny.
They have $2 in fines coming to them. We know that.
Yes, that's true. And then, I mean, obviously I love the crafternoon thing. So I'm worried like maybe there's like a crafternoon murder. And then she mentions like there potentially being like a garden club coming in. So I'm like, okay, that could be a book. We could have like a garden club murder, which, by the way, on the topic of garden club murders, if people here are not watching Why Women Kill, I think that's what it's called, on Paramount Plus, you need to. Oh my gosh, it's so good. There's 2 seasons. They're completely separate. They have nothing to do with each other. But the second one,
I thought you were going to say the Flower Shop Mysteries with Brooke Shields.
No. The only reason I mentioned is that the second season is all about this woman whose like dream is to join this elite garden club, and it takes place in like the 40s or 50s. But oh my God, it's so good. Both seasons, so good.
I mean, I have to admit too, with the library, it's not just large and has a lot of people in the employment. It's very well stocked. And the children's area, Beth Reed did it. I had to write it down. They have the parrot that they can teach phrases to. They have the palm trees. Then they have the couches that look like sand dunes. They have the pirate treasure chest. And then they have the blue carpet they had redone. They have all these elements in the library. So I don't know what the taxes are, but a lot of money is being allocated to the library.
It is all going to the library. Like, any money in this town is going to the library, because we know it's not going to staffing the police department. There are 2 police officers, and one of them is completely incompetent. And so I'm just like, I don't know. You know what? There should be another book too, where it has something to do with like the the water taxi or like the ferry system. Because I was really into like all the guys who work with the boats. I was like, ooh, I want more on that.
I mean, the more Sully, the better. I'm all for more Sully.
Oh my gosh. There need to be more like young, hot sea captains in general. Like, but I need them more in books, like, because that's what I do with most of my time. But between this one and the Tessa Bailey book, I'm like, I've had an overload of hunky sea captains in the past month. And I'm just like, where are they? Where are they? Like, I'm clearly in the wrong, I'm not by the ocean. That's why. But
I had to write it down because he just sounds too good to be true. So we have Captain Sully, who's a former he was in the Navy. He has dimples, a square jaw, mahogany curls, blue eyes, and he's tall with broad shoulders, and he's well read.
He probably wears like a beanie, like off the back of his head, like not too far back like a hipster, but like enough to see some of his curls like peeking out. I can see it.
I mean, he's also kind and thoughtful and makes the best hot chocolate.
Yeah, which I was reading the recipe because I was like, what makes his hot chocolate so good? Like what is so different about this hot chocolate? So I'm going to have to make his hot chocolate and see like how it measures up to like other hot chocolate.
I mean, when it comes to hot chocolate, I'm just usually a packet person. So this is an effort.
Yep.
With actually making hot chocolate. So the fact that he put in the effort is also very telling to me.
That's the sexiest thing. Let me tell you, as a single woman, the sexiest thing is a smidge of effort on their behalf. That's all I'm looking for. Like, I don't care if you have a great job. I don't care if you own a house. Like, I just want a smidge of effort. I feel like it's not too much to ask, but apparently it is.
I love how it's one of those, when it comes to, again, with the whole single woman idea, Lindsay is smart. She is capable. She has her own job. She doesn't need someone to support her. And thank you. Hello. We're, living in a certain day and age here. And so it is very much about his personality and who he is.
Yeah.
It's not trying to marry up, trying to establish whatever. So I love the fact that she is placing emphasis on the characterizations. So
yeah, no, I'm a fan. Like I said, I am definitely interested in reading more in this series. So if people want to do it, if people want to buddy read, like, I'm here for it.
It's so funny too, because I think someone had mentioned or asked about how does this work? Because you guys read the first book in the series. And so we had done a couple follow-ups with live streams, but I can probably figure something out in regards to doing a buddy read hashtag or something. So, I mean, I'm all for it. If you guys want to do a buddy read, I mean, there are more books in the series. It is rather large. So I would have to figure out the timing of it, but I am all for trying to figure something out if you'd like me to.
We'll just do one a month for the next year.
I was going to say, so the second Tuesday of the month is officially Cozy Corner Chat Night, where you get to ask your favorite cozy authors all of your cozy questions.
Yes.
So I've been trying to do things across platforms. So no matter what you utilize, if you can't watch in YouTube live, but you can do this, I'm trying to spread things across. So in my head, I'm trying to figure out, is there a way to utilize Instagram and make that the third Tuesday of the month? I'll have to brainstorm and figure something out for y'all.
What's one more Tuesday, right?
Or at least come up with a hashtag or something in regards, so you guys can post across Instagram and Twitter, and we can all follow the same thread. I can work on it. I can do that. I'm
game. I'm definitely game.
I mean, I'll also have to have a hamster detective for y'all, because as a homage to Beth.
That sounds like a cute book too. Like, I would totally buy that book for like a friend's kid. I like the idea of that book.
I also have to, I don't tell y'all everything I'm working on as I'm working on it. There's a lot on the back, going on behind the scenes that I reveal. So Casey, our latest our latest addition to the sleuthing family. I don't know if you saw him, but he is on Twitter. We now have a sleuthing penguin dressed as Sherlock Holmes, and he's named Casey. So technically my mom kind of named him because I was going to have another vote off. This is a total tangent off of the book, but this pertains to the book club. So y'all created the names 𝗏𝗏 for our mascot, and you guys named Moriarty, T-E-A, Moriarty, the logo.
Which both are ridiculously clever, so kudos to anybody who came up with those names.
I mean, I was so impressed. Because with 𝗏𝗏, what I did was I put up the 4 ones that were most repeated or most commented on and the vote off with the Twitter. And then when it came to Moriarty, it was a little more organized. So I kind of did the brackets. And so I kept watching that one go the different rounds. Going, that name's going to make it to the end. Yep. And when it won, I was so happy because otherwise I was going to be like, I'm going to create something else because we're going to need this name. I loved it. I was going to do the same thing with Casey, but my mom was so excited and she goes, oh, you should name him Casey. Oh, you solved the case. And I'm kind of going, I feel as if by naming him Casey, it's paying sort of respect to all of our friends and family who support us and our members. I kind of thought that was more of an inspiration for what he would represent in the sleuthing family, because people will buy us books or give us gift cards or leave us alone for hours to go read. So our little, thank you to our friends and family for supporting us in our cozy community. So
see, if my mom watches this, she's going to get mad then at me because she's going to be like, listen to Angela doing all these nice things for her mom and letting her name stuff, Kelly. What are you doing for me with boobies and news? And I'll say, Mom, you're the one who turned me on to reading romance in the first place. So just the idea of boobies and newbies is tied to you. So.
Aww. Oh, that's so sweet.
Not quite the same. It's not named. I don't have cute characters named after her, but
it was so funny though, because when I mentioned it, she just got really excited and came out with it, and she got so happy with it. I'm going, I have to use this. And I love the idea. I just love the idea of kind of having a character named in honor of the friends and family who let us be who we are.
Yeah.
Because there is something to people leaving us alone to read or leaving us to go do what we want to do with our bookish world. So I kind of think it's more of we're adding something to pay credit to them. So that's Casey. But again, there is another detective animal that I've been working with another artist on. And again, I have a list of things that I'm working on and doing. And I had this moment of, oh, thank God I didn't choose the hamster, because I had a hamster on my list.
Oh my God. How funny.
I had a hamster.
I like the penguin. I like the penguin. And if there's a hamster someday, great. If not.
Well, if you do the hamster, it's going to have to be in honor of our buddy read for this book. So it's going to have to do exactly with this. So now if there is a hamster detective, it's for this. There's a reason. But I have another animal in addition to our penguin. I don't know if you guys want me to tell you what kind of animal or not, but I had a list of animals and I was slowly weeding them down, and there's additional ones after this next edition. And so there is a hamster on the list, and I'm so glad I didn't have it randomly become.
Oh my goodness.
Because I would have felt so bad thinking I'm stepping on toes. Someone had this idea. So I'm just very glad that I did not do the hamster, and that timing wise, this worked out.
I think you made the right choice because Casey is very cute. Also, we're coming up on the holiday season. Penguins are like super not holiday-ish, but cold. So I associate cold and thus penguins with holidays. I don't know
why I pictured it as a penguin, but for some reason, I cannot explain. I pictured a penguin for Cozy Corner chats. I don't know why, but I kept thinking of a penguin detective. I don't know.
People want to know though in the chat. They want to know about the other animal.
So technically, I don't know if I don't know if there's a screen share, but it is an otter.
Oh,
and he looks really cute. It's an otter.
That's very cute. I have a special attachment to otters because my uncle, who was basically like my nanny growing up, would sing me this song he made up about Herbie the sea otter. And then I had a stuffed animal that was a sea otter. So that became like Herbie the sea otter. And so we send each other like Herbie gifts, or not Herbie, sea otter gifts and everything. But yeah, anytime I think of sea otters, I think of my Uncle Chris and Herbie the sea otter.
I just kept thinking how otters tend to make people smile, and that's what Cozy Mysteries do.
Yeah.
Because I have my list of animals, and it's so funny that we're talking about this because I literally hand wrote a list of animals, and I Googled, list of animals like this. I mean, I even went through like different types of horses, different types of bears. I mean, I really got into this.
Wow.
When I tell y'all I do research for you, I am not kidding. I deep dive the librarian kind of components, this is why I relate to them.
Yep.
But I have my list. There's the bunny on it. I have there's the hamster, there's the guinea pig. There was a porcupine. I mean, I was making the list.
I love porcupines too. I will say, you know what? I'm not usually somebody who watches like cute videos of animals, probably just because I'm dead inside. But the one that I've been watching videos of lately are baby hippos.
I don't even know if a hippo made the list, but that's really cute.
They're so cute. And I mean, yes, I know in real life hippos will like take your head off, but at the same time, they're so cute.
I might have to add that to the list, baby hippo, because I know I had the list of things, and I just thought the otter, because that's the animal that people always go, oh,
it's cute.
So cute. Oh.
Yeah, very cute. No, I agree. People like the otter.
I put the sloth for my classically cozy conversations. So we have a detective sloth. We have Max. In my own little head, I know when it comes to cozy companions, it's usually the cat and the dog. So I have the secondary Twitter account celebrating cozy, and Max is dressed up as Sherlock. So we have the dog for celebrating cozy, and then we have the cat 𝗏𝗏 for the book club. So we have our cat and dog. I made sure I was very particular with that.
Yeah.
So I'm slowly getting the animal kingdom underway.
I was going to say you're creating your own cozy mystery menagerie. But
Beth, if she wasn't fictional, we would be friends.
Yes. No, for real. I feel like I've also like shared all of my notes that I have for this book. So, I mean, if you have anything else, hit me. But I just overall really liked it. And she better get together with Sully. Otherwise, I'm going to be very, very sad. And I hope there's more hot, naked art teacher in the future.
I mean, so I'm just trying to figure out where I want to start with the notes. So I just want to mention, I thought that Lindsay having her academic studious side come out when she was upset about her knitting, I thought that was an adorable detail.
That was fun.
And the part that I appreciated was that it wasn't just a quirk, it was something they all knew. So I thought that was what really tied it and made it important and gave it that sort of fun component. Because same thing when she went to visit I forget her name off the top of my head, but the woman living with the dementia in the assisted home, when she went and visited her and she came home, the Crafternoon ladies are all freaking out. Where have you been? What's going on? I loved that she was a part of their group and they cared about her and they knew her. And I like them knowing that quirk shows that it's not just a matter of we just hang out together. They know her. And for some reason, that just really kind of gave me the warm fuzzy feelings that they knew that.
Very much a found family story. Like, I mean, and that's not to say like that they don't each have their own families, like outside of this group, but like this town is very much like a found family. Like the whole Crafternoon group really cares about each other. Nancy is like a mom to her. I love Nancy's son too, who like plays like the rock music, but only on Saturdays or whatever. Like he's willing to like, he's not a bad kid either. Like he's very good to that. And so, yeah, very much a found family story, which I love. I love seeing different family dynamics in stories because I'm an only child. I don't get to, and so we don't have that experience of having like the sibling relationships. And so I love to see when that is explored.
I have to admit too, when you mentioned Charlie, I love the fact that she called him because she knew the police were never able to help her. So I love that she called him. But I love the fact that he actually answered the phone and he didn't just, hang up like, oh, I don't know who this is. I can't figure this out. He got up. He tried to help. He ran after. He confronted the person. He wasn't just standing by. He actively tried to help her and protect her. And when she didn't want to go to the police, he wanted her to go to the police. He wanted to have her back, but he respected her wishes too. So I'm on your side, Charlie. I like you. You cannot be a victim in these books.
I liked the, like, I mean, we've said it, but I really enjoyed the characters. They felt real. They were very respectful, except for like the 3 mean people, 2 of whom died anyway. So I'm just like, I'm here for, I feel like this is going to be a very like 𝗕𝗏𝗁𝗀 kind of series where it's like, instead of killing off people who live in the town, they're going to bring in like outsiders from like outside of town, and like they're going to die. But because everybody we've met so far is wonderful and I don't want them to die.
I wrote down, so again, this is me. I love Jane Austen. This woman jumped out at me from the beginning. Her dog, Mr. Bingley. I thought this woman was adorable, and I related to her so hard because she bought food for her dog, and I do that with Max sometimes. If he's not eating his dog food, I'm like, fine, I'll buy you a hamburger. And I don't eat meat, but I'm ordering a hamburger. And so this lady's bringing home food to the dog. I thought that was great. I'm like, you got to come back in another book. I got to meet Mr. Bingley. So
I highlighted it. I was like, excellent choice.
I thought that was great. I'm going, you need to come back. I need to meet Mr. Bingley in person because he sounds adorable. Her little rescued chihuahua. And I also wrote down with Beth, I thought this was an adorable introduction. The first time we meet Beth, she's dressed up as a giant teacup. This is how we meet her.
Yeah. Like, and it was amazing to me that she was not like the theater person in this book. Like, I was like, oh yeah, she must have a theater background, but no, she works with kids. I'm like, okay, like that's basically the same thing. So she's adorable. What a great character introduction.
I think I have to give Jenn McKinlay all the writing credit with this, because as I'm looking down at the notes too, you brought up Rick. The first time we meet him is in the restaurant, and he's not exactly, Mr. Respect, chivalry, whatever you want to call it. He's not exactly, 10 out of 10. And I loved
he's not 2 out of 10. Like, he's a negative out of 10.
Food. He wanted free food, and Mary said no. I'm going, you rock, Mary. But the first time we meet all these characters, I don't want to say first impressions are the best, they're spot on. But every time she introduced a character, that was how the character portrayed, and it stayed kind of consistent throughout the book. So the first time we meet Beth, she's the teacup. When we meet Ms. Lemon Face there, she's got that scowl. So every time someone was introduced, she did it in a way that was memorable and represented the character throughout the remainder of the narrative.
Yes, so that's what it was because I know that this is something, just from having been here with you before, that we've talked about, is that in Cozy Mysteries, we love that there's like a tribe of characters, but also there's usually a lot of characters. And so the more you introduce these people, you can lose track of certain people and be like, who's that guy again? Who's that person? And this was one where I was like, she gave each character such a memorable introduction and something that was so uniquely them, that you were like, I can't mix up Violet with Nancy. I can't mix up Charlie and Sully, because like they each had their very specific things about them. And that's hard to do. Like, I think that's something that even just as a writer, I really appreciated and was like, oh, this is something I can work on in my own work.
I was very impressed with the fact that every single character to me felt different and fully developed.
Yes.
I was very impressed by that. I always look at Goodreads, and some people said they reminded them of stock characters. I'm going, you're entitled to your opinion, but I didn't let it sway me, because for me, I was impressed how we had Charlie. We knew he was the musician. We knew he had all the tattoos. We knew everyone's description, and you remembered it. Mm-hmm. And again, I like the fact she didn't also overkill. The Crafternoon group was small and it was manageable for you as the reader. Sometimes people will give you, oh, we had all this group, we had this, and you're going, I cannot remember all these character names. And you name 3 people, they all have S names. Why are you doing this?
Oh God, that is one of my biggest pet peeves, is when everybody is named with like the same letter. I'm just like, why was this a choice? Why was this a choice? Like, you could have picked any name in the world.
I'm not going to mention the title, but we had a book. It was Shiloh, Shannon, and I can't even remember the other name. Stacy. And then there was another S name in there, and I'm going, oh. I'm just going, the cousin, the woman in town. I couldn't remember the name. I just kept referring to them as their titles.
Which is funny, because at the beginning of this book, they're reading Rebecca, and they're like, what's the name of the main character? And they're like all flipping through their books, and I'm like, that's for sure me. Like every time I do a podcast, every time I do an interview, I could have finished the book 20 minutes before we started recording, and I guarantee I will forget some of the characters' names. So it is no diss whatsoever to the book or the author. It is just very much like such a real thing. I'm sure I'm not alone in this.
No, that's why when I say, I try and do my research, I try and read the book multiple times, because I know, even though I am prepared and I got my notebook, I know I'm gonna be going, I can't remember that character's name, I can't remember that place. So it happens. I think readers, we all know that too, because sometimes you'll just remember the feeling of a book, or you remember the one character. So it has nothing to do with liking or not. But you just reminded me. I actually really love the title of this book, because it was one of those, I realized it upon the reread. I'm going, the book that he wrote was deceiving because it was Beth's work. And I'm going, this title is actually brilliant when you think about it in context. It's not just a fun little pun. It is actually reminiscent of what goes on in the plot. I thought that was so intelligent.
Well, and books can be deceiving as opposed to like looks can be deceiving. Ha ha ha. We love puns. But because also like, I mean, with the photograph, like between, that she finds that has the real, what's her name? I already forgot. Sylvie. I don't remember anymore.
Which one? I was just reading the comments. I was trying to catch up. Which one?
The picture that Lindsay finds that ends up having it's Rick, and then it's the two women. And what are their names? Astrid. And who is she pretending to be? Sylvie? Sydney. Oh God, I was so close. See, it's right there. But I mean, even the picture, she's like, oh, this is what this is, and this is who this is. And when she meets who we think is Sydney in real life, and it's not, but we believe she is because she says her name is Sydney. Why would we not believe that? So yeah, I think it definitely ties in, because, and you know what? I'm sure some people are like, well, of course it ties in, but there are plenty of books that I have read where you're just like, why is this the name of this book? Like, did you just pick this name because it's cute? Like, it has nothing to do with the story. Oh no, Angela froze again. Third time's the charm. I'll give her a second. Astrid, yeah. Part of me loves the name Astrid, and part of me is like, that's an evil name. Angela is frozen. Deceiving all around, yeah. If anybody has any questions or anything at this time, or something that we haven't talked about that you wanted to bring up, I'd say pop those in the chat, and then when Angela comes back, we can like hit on those. But otherwise, I know I've covered everything that I brought. But I did really enjoy this book. Oh no, she's gone. It's just me now. I'm sure she'll be back in a second. But yep, we're still live. Okay, cool. Well, at this time, I will say I'm so glad you're the person co-hosting today. Well, if people don't know me, I do host a podcast called Boobies and Newbies. I guess I should have said that earlier. Angela did. But I do a lot of hosting and interviewing and stuff regularly. So this isn't too far out of my wheelhouse. But if you want to hear me talk about romance, check out Boobies and Newbies. I'm at, oh no, it's over here. Wait, oh my God, it's all turned around. I'm trying to point to this. There it is. I'm at Boobies Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that jazz. There she is.
I don't know what happened. All of a sudden I got the spinning wheel and I'm going, oh.
The spinning wheel of death. It's all good. I was just telling everybody while you were gone, I was doing shameless self promo where I said, come listen to Boobies and Newbies. And if you like hearing conversations with authors, I do a lot of author interviews, both on the podcast and on Instagram, on IG Live. So
I saw you've been doing those. I wanted to be able to join some of them, but I always I miss them, or
there's a lot of good stuff too. If anybody here is like a writer or just likes knowing sort of like the behind the scenes like writing process, like it's really fun to talk to writers and just kind of see like what goes on in their heads. So Yeah, I do have a YouTube channel. I barely use it, but it's there. I'm not as gifted with the on camera as Angela is. So
I've listened to the podcast since the beginning. Her podcast is hysterical. I was a guest during her Christmas extravaganza, which made me so happy. I was so honored to be a part of it. She does a great job with the podcast. So you have to listen to her new, like, the Instagram videos. We also got to check out the podcast.
Thank you. Yeah. And go listen to the episode with Angela, because it was it was a holiday-ish one. It was a pretty like PG-ish romance for the most part. So, I mean, if people are like, I don't really want to hear anything that's like graphic or whatever, like it's a great episode to start with. And we talk about all the cute holiday stuff.
I love how we're talking about this, because I actually just bought one of the other books in the series. It was on sale. There was one of those 99-cent sort of sales going on. I get all the emails in the morning of, hey, today's deal is this. And I saw the Highlander in his kilt, and I'm going, I recognize that book cover. And I'm going, oh, we got book 2 in the series. Yes. So I have that on my TBR right now too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a cute one. It's a cute season. Oh, Colleen says, love that episode. I'm glad. Yeah, it's a fun one. And I know when you do the 12 days of cozies, and I do the 12 days of boobsmas. And so December between the two of us is just way too much fun.
I had the best time being a guest. I felt so honored. That was the very first podcast I've ever been on. And so, I get to give her the credit. So now, no matter what I do, I can always say she was the first.
Oh,
I thought she's awesome. I mean, usually I've been doing the Cozy Mystery Book Club enough where I feel comfortable with how life's even though this technology apparently tonight is not my friend. But I've been through enough where I know how this works, how to maneuver things, how I can now show comments. And when it comes to new technology or doing something different, I'm an anxious, nervous person, but I trust her so much when it came to doing a podcast audio. I trusted her to, lead the conversation, to do the editing. I feel perfectly fine and confident putting my trust in her. I believe in Kelly and all of the things she does. So
I believe in you. I believe in us.
I felt so honored to be on it. And so it was one of those, I had never done a podcast before. And I'm going, if I'm going to be doing something, I trust her. I'm fine with this. I was not nervous. And usually I'm nervous about everything.
I got you, girl. Oh, and somebody asked, what's the 12 days of cozies? And I will tell you, if you don't find out about it now, you're going to hear a whole lot about here in the upcoming months, because it is quite the event. And there are so many giveaways. There are so many like fun books and author talks, and like, oh my gosh, it's so much fun.
I've been working on it. I've actually been working on it since literally the last 12 days of COVID, because I kid you not, I wanted to have all of the content ready, because I do the morning newsletters, and I wanted to have unique content for every single day. So there's going to be adult coloring book pages. There's going to be word searches. I've been working with some graphic designers, and I was doing all this before I even said authors, hi, you want to sign up? So I had all these things already ready to go. And so far there are 15 Cozy Mystery authors, and I am so honored and happy to have a lot of people returning. I know she was here earlier, Jackie Layton. She's going to be one of the returning authors. And Marta, I think she's still here. I don't know if we lost her or not. I saw her pop up in the comments before, but she's going to be participating as well. And there's so many great people. Winnie Archer, she's joining Melissa Bourbon, aka she's got the 2 names. Cynthia Kahn.
Melissa Bourbon. What an amazing name. Like that's
her second name. So right now I believe there are 15, but I'm always adding more. So basically every single day, again, this is me trying to make sure that no matter what platform you do, no matter what capabilities, there's going to be a giveaway for the email newsletter, a giveaway for Twitter, a giveaway for Instagram. And so I'm trying to make sure that every base is covered. So in the morning, there's going to be the email newsletter. Then there's going to be the Twitter giveaway. And this time around, I'm offering Instagram live TVs. So cozy authors can pick the time during the day to go live and hold their own chat. But again, I'll incorporate it and, add it to the, I've already been designing everything. I already have like a sort of layout that I want to use. So every day is going to have the time slots of what's happening. So we have,
oh my God, you're an organizing nerd like me. I love it so much.
But the highlight is there's going to be the reading sprints every evening from 5 to 8. So they're going to be in increments of 20 minutes. I even worked out like the breakdown so that you got 20 minutes of reading. You know, you can chat, you can post, you can go get a treat, you can stretch, and then, you know, you pick right up on the half an hour mark. And then after that, we have the evening author chats. So you can ask your favorite cozy authors all sorts of Christmas and cozy questions. And I'm pulling up day one right now. We have, for the Twitter chat, we have Jackie Layton, Wendy Kendall, and Ellen Byron for the first night of 12 Days of Cozy. So
12 days of fun festivities. I mean, you make the 12 Days of Boobsmas sound like an amateur hour because it's nowhere near as fun as that. But I will say I do put out 12 podcast episodes in December.
I mean, this is just, again, for me, when it comes to this, I want to try and offer as much as I can, first of all, because I want to be able to you know, do giveaways for everybody. I wish I could do everything for everyone all the time. For me, when I do something like this, the more giveaways, the more chances I can spread the joy, the more chances people have of winning. So you can kind of spread that out too. And I always feel awful when someone's like, I'm not on Twitter, I'm not on that. So that's why I wanted to make sure that I have different platforms covered. So again, that's why I've been planning this since January.
Yeah, I definitely don't do as much as Angela does for the 12 Days of Boobsmas, but I do giveaways. I love sending mail. I love sending mail to people. So, yeah, if you're not following Boobies Newbies, come on over. And it's all holiday romance that we'll be talking about in December. And I'm not talking about just like Christmas. Like there's also, I think I've done at least one Hanukkah or like non-Christmas romance every year for Boobsmas. So I hope to keep that going. There's just not enough of them out there.
So that for me, with the 12 Days of Cozies, what I did was I incorporated winter themed books. So
that's good.
I don't want to mispronounce his last name because he's so sweet. 𝗿𝗏𝗏. So he has a winter. She's a skier. I included that. I have for the Instagram challenges. One of them, I'm gonna include the same one again this year of a non-seasonal colored cozy mystery book cover. So you got the blues. Right now I was looking at Plum Pudding Murder because it has the blue book cover. Other covers, Lauren Elliott, I believe, she has a winter themed cozy. So cool. I was trying to think of other ways so that it's not specifically related to the holiday itself, but you could celebrate. That's why I call it 12 Days of Cozies, the Cozy Christmas Extravaganza. But in my own head, like sometimes I'll be like, the Cozy Extravaganza. In my head, that's how I call it.
Yeah.
So sometimes Christmas is in there. Sometimes I just think of it as like a holiday sort of celebration.
And some people don't want like the over explosion of holidays. My mother included, who I saw pop into the chat at one point tonight. I don't know if she's still here, but this is a woman who doesn't want to listen to Christmas music until Christmas Eve. Like she... And see me, I'm like, give it all to me. I want the tinsel. I want the food. I want all of it. And so, but if you just like the winter, you know, and like the snow and like the cooler tones and hot chocolate, like I can see where that would be like really appealing for a lot of people. So I think that's cool that you do that.
I try and make it as inclusive as possible. Last year I started trying to look into Hanukkah related cozies. I'm having a little bit of trouble with that. So if anyone wants to write one, I'd appreciate it.
Yes.
I want to try and incorporate as much as I can because I want it to, again, I think of the cozy community as a place to just be happy. And so if I can make people happy, that's exactly what I want to do with this. It's just meant to be something fun. When I think, again, that's why I did the otter for this Cozy Corner chat. I want this to be positive. I think of things that make you smile. So
I'm excited for the next. Yeah, I'm excited for the next like few months. Like October through January are like my favorite months of the year for like all of the holidays and all of the, I like colder weather. I like the hot drinks. I like sweaters. So I'm excited for all of that. And I'm loving all the picks of books for the upcoming months. So I'm super jazzed.
I am so happy to see people taking part in this book club. I posted the Instagram stories. It's not the with Instagram, I never know how you want to call the terminology because there's the highlights, there's the egg live. I'm going, so I just went in stories and recorded it. And I was getting emotional going, you guys made me so happy. And they're all happy tears because you guys mean the world to me. I was just grabbing the cozy. You guys voted. So for December, we don't do a live stream. November is going to be the last live stream of 2021. And that live stream is going to be Death of a Kitchen Diva by Lee Hollis, food related for Thanksgiving. I put all the, I organize stuff. I take your titles and I'm going, here are all the food cozies. Here are all the paranormals for Halloween.
Yeah.
Back to school ones for September. And so I had I believe there was another winter read in the mix, but the Christmas one won. So this is going to be the buddy read. And so I kind of thought it says 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗿 by 𝗂𝗵𝗂𝗏. And so because it's 12 days of cozies and everyone's traveling for the holiday season, and obviously everyone has so much going on, I don't do the live stream. My birthday is January 1st. High five. So I know people are dealing with New Year's and everything else. And so there's no live stream. But because there's 12 days of cozies, I don't feel too bad. I don't think you guys are missing out in December. But there's the buddy reads. You guys will talk about this on Twitter and Instagram and still enjoy some cozy, book club fun with that.
Yay. I'm also going to check out this book that Marta just mentioned. She said Denise N. Wheatley is a Black writer whose Love at the Icicle Cafe from Tool Publishing was a huge hit last year. And she has another holiday romance coming out. That's awesome. I'm for sure going to check that out because also I've done a lot of books from Tool Publishing for Boobies and Newbies before. I love the books that they're publishing. So yes, give it to me.
You guys are, I didn't mean to just start talking about 12 Days of Cozies, but I'm so glad you guys are excited. And you are so welcome. I'm seeing the comments. I mean, I really enjoy doing this. I really look forward to working on the content, and the book club has really become my positive place.
Yes.
That as it is, a lot of other, my dissertation is on the romance genre fandom. So for me, romance has sort of become work, and
I get it.
I have not had the most positive experience with dissertation. So the cozy community and cozy mystery reading has really become my safe place. So it is my absolute honor, and I enjoy doing this. So you are welcome. Like, it is my pleasure. So I really just hope you enjoy what I'm working on and doing for you. That's my biggest hope, that it just makes you smile and brightens your day.
It makes me smile.
I was just, as I look down at the notes, I'm pretty sure we've covered a lot. I know this live stream has gone longer than like most of them.
Well, that's what happens when you invite me, because I never shut up. We all know this. Anybody who's seen me here before knows it.
I mean, I love you. I love the conversations. And sometimes, you're looking at your notes, you're going, okay, we're going to talk about this, we're going to do this. But it's so much fun when it's just a free-flowing conversation, because it's not meant to be literary. Let's talk about point A and point B, and let's do this, let's highlight this passage and take it apart. That's not what we're doing. This is just meant to be fun and, again, positive.
We're going to complain about the ingredients of this character's salad. That's what we do here.
I mean, that's part of what you responded to, though. That's the whole point of book clubs. What jumped out at you, and if that's what jumped out at you, let's talk about it.
And I've never made clam chowder, but I will say I'm very tempted to give it a try after seeing the recipe. It looks simple. It looks simple enough for somebody like me who's not the best chef to take it on. So if I do give it a try, I will absolutely tag you, and then I'll tag you if it goes well, and then you can tell other people. If it doesn't go well, I'm never mentioning it ever again.
I love how I'm smiling. I'm thinking, for some reason, I thought that recipe sounded more simple than the hot chocolate one. I just want to throw that out there. I honestly thought that one sounded simpler.
Yeah, but thanks everybody who's hung out tonight. I see people heading to bed and everything, because I know it's later for other people, but I'm so thankful to be here again. It's always fun to hang out with you guys.
You guys are the best. The only other random notes I had to do with the fact that I loved the pun, a sure thing, with Beth naming her house that, a sure thing. I thought that was cute. And then I thought Ava, the waitress at the very beginning, was going to come back around and be Rick's love interest or something, like the ring on the finger. I thought she was going to be the other woman, and because Beth and her had lost touch and he wasn't bringing Beth around, I was thinking she was going to be the other woman. that was his ring. I thought that was going to be something, but we never saw her again. But I really thought 𝗵𝗻 was going to come back around and be a part of Rick's backstory.
Maybe we'll have a wedding in a future book. Maybe we'll get to see the 22-year-old waitress get married. But I'm with you. That was a thought that crossed my mind as well. And I think it was kind of like the age gap that made me realize, like, oh, I don't think this is gonna tie in. I don't know. But
I had that down. And then I had two other random, well, they're kind of, well, I loved how capable the women were in this book. I loved that Emma was the best cop for the local hometown representation. She was the smart, capable one.
Yep.
Yes, we had Detective 𝗕𝗏 come in and look at the case, but I saw in a book blurb that she becomes the sheriff, and I was so happy when I read that.
Oh, good.
I was so excited. I love that she was the strong female officer, and she respected Lindsay. It wasn't, sometimes when it comes to cozy communities and cozy mysteries in general with this, they have the sleuther and the police officer butting heads, but she was nice to her. There was a sort of camaraderie, but there was definitely a familiar element, and I appreciated the fact that it wasn't us, them.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that out there. But I also thought it was interesting with the levels of cheating with this book, because again, the two out of the three here are because of Rick. But we had Lindsay, who was cheated on. We had Beth, who had her creative work stolen. And then we had fake Sydney, aka Astrid, who was cheated on and had her work stolen. And I thought that was really, really interesting to show the different ways that you could experience hurt in a relationship and how that would impact you. I mean, again, I don't think Sydney's impact was normal. I'm not going with that. But
and notice that all of the offenders are men. Like, so I mean, it is. I would have maybe liked to have seen like a little variation in that, just because I don't want the story to always be men are the bad guys and women are great. But I will say the women in this book are painted in a very positive light for the most part. And with the exception of Rick and the ex-fiance, all the men are actually painted in a pretty positive light too. So I don't know. We'll see moving forward. But you're right. There is a lot about cheating in this book in different ways.
I thought it was interesting because it shows the different elements of relationship and how you can hurt someone in a different way.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting in regards to having your work stolen and why your work was stolen, because Beth was thinking maybe he was the artist who was having writer's block, but then it was a level of deception that was different, and that caused more hurt than thinking of him that way. So I just thought it was kind of interesting from that kind of psychological perspective. But I just randomly throw in like those two notes in there because there was so much.
Oh no. Angela. Okay, Angela's frozen again. And it's me. Let's see. I feel like I should perform something for you at this point because I've gone through my notes.
Okay, so I'm just gonna end up saying goodnight.
This is our sign to call it a night. This is it.
I was going to say my only other notes were on the sheriff, and so we do not need to talk about him because he's not positive. That was why I was putting notes down. I was like, we don't need to end the conversation on him. We don't. We can just end on saying how brilliant of a writer Jenn McKinlay was.
And we will read more books in this series. That's it. That's all anybody needs to know.
I will look into figuring out the buddy read. I saw someone mentioned it said #SleuthingTuesday. I thought that was really cute. So if that's available, so I will do a little bit of research on that to make it happen. But if you guys want that, I will do it. So okay, if you got everyone seems interested. That's all I need.
Yeah. No, sounds like fun to me, and I will totally read more of these. So I am down, even if it's just like 3 of us. I am there. But thank you guys all for hanging out tonight. It's been super fun.
You guys are so amazing. I really am so honored that you guys are taking time out of your day to celebrate cozy mysteries with us, to talk about books, and just I'm so it blows me away that you read a book with us that was chosen and you take part in this. And I'm so honored. As I get emotional, I think every single time I talk about how much I love you guys and what this club means to me, I start crying happy tears.
Every book club ends with Angela crying.
Because I appreciate you guys so much. I love that you comment and take part in the conversations. Yeah. It's not just Kelly and I talking back and forth. I love that you guys are posting your thoughts and responses. And every single time I go back to do the giveaways, because every comment translates to a giveaway entry. And next month is we're reading Class Reunions or Murder. And tonight's book club giveaway is Beauty Expos or Murder, which is the 6th book in the same series. I always get to read the comments and see the things that I missed during the live stream. And it just touches my heart. It really does. So I look forward to going through the comments for the giveaway. So I'm going to be reading your comments again for the giveaway. And I know I'm going to get all the feels. You guys just mean the world to me. And I just want to give Kelly, again, a shout out. Subscribe to her podcast. Check out those Instagram TV videos or live chats, however. I know it has very interesting terminology. So I'm like,
I know.
What she's doing on Instagram.
I'm also having trouble realizing because everything's backwards for me on video. So I'm @Boobies Podcast. There it is.
It's also hysterical. I've noticed this with your Instagram. She's been posting her tweets and other tweets that she finds that are relevant to genres and reading and romance. So her Instagram's great. Her Twitter's great. Just follow her across all the platforms because she's amazing. So
you're a blessing.
And I also want to give her the virtual hugs because I am so apologetic that I had the internet issues tonight. Totally out of my hands. But she handles things like a pro. So I am giving you all the shout outs for not, for dealing with this in the most positive, sweet, and entertaining way. So thank you for keeping your head during the little glitches. So more shout outs and love to Kelly for that.
It's all good. I feel like if the pandemic has taught us anything, we've all become a lot more patient and accepting of technical issues. So I will never judge anybody for having technical issues ever. So from this point forward.
I gotta love how it's during the live stream, the highlight of the month, and it happens during it. Of course, timing.
Of course. You handled it like a pro. It's all good. You came back. We did it. And it was fun.
We talked about our book of the month. So next month, I'm going to grab the book. Next month, we will be talking about Class Reunions and Murder by Libby
Love it.
Clinton. So please mark your calendars. The last Tuesday of the month is always book club night. And the second Tuesday of the month is Cozy Corner Chat Night. I believe this time we have 4 Cozy Mystery authors for September, and I will be announcing those tomorrow in the newsletter email. So be on the lookout for that. So September, we have 2 more things coming up, and it sounds as if we might have a buddy read going as well for this series. So I am excited. And thank you guys for joining. I love you guys so much. Please continue to stay safe and healthy during this time, and happy reading and sleuthing. You guys are amazing.